not going 7-9. Okay? I'm not going 7-9. Okay? 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 I'm not going 7-9. Okay?
Welcome to the Grueling Truth Los Angeles Rams weekly show, brought to you by Gridiron Mo. Gridiron Mo is an interesting interactive football game app which pits you against other football fans across the country in predicting the next play within live NFL games. Think you're smarter than the average fan? Check out Gridiron Mo at gridironmo.com. As for the show, my name's Os Davis. I'll be your co-host. And I'd like to introduce, for our inaugural episode, my co-host, Tony Hunter. Tony, how's it going?
Oh, it's going pretty well, Oz. Thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you for showing. Of course, here in the Los Angeles, Orange County area from which I'm broadcasting, we're all very excited about the return of the Los Angeles Rams. And I personally am very excited to have Tony doing the show with me. Now, as longtime diehard Los Angeles Rams and NFL fans should recognize, Tony Hunter is a former, 4-year starter at Notre Dame. Tony was drafted at number 12 overall by the Buffalo Bills in that fantastic, incredible NFL draft in 1983, but came to the Rams before the 1985 season. In that 1985 season for the Los Angeles Rams, one of our last great teams out here before we packed up and moved to St. Louis. Tony was number 2 in receiving yards that year to the great Henry Ellard. I'm sure everybody remembers him. Unfortunately, that Rams team did lose to those Chicago Bulls in the Chicago Bulls. Yeah, see, there I am. Those Chicago Bears. That's how good they were. In the NFC Championship game in 1986. Tony, before we get rolling on the contemporary Rams, I just wanted to get your thoughts on your memories. What do you remember about playing for those 80s Los Angeles Rams teams and Los Angeles itself?
Well, it was a great experience for the most part. I unfortunately had a bad injury the first day that I came there. I ended up tearing a meniscus in my knee. So basically, I ended up playing with a hurt knee for the entire time that I was with the Rams. But overall, my experience was wonderful. I had a great time playing for Coach John Robinson. It was great being teammates with Eric Dickerson, Henry Ellard, Ron Brown, and I can go on and on. But I really enjoyed playing for the Rams and being a Ram in Los Angeles.
Now we talked about this previously before the show, and so here you are in 1984. You're playing for the Buffalo Bills, who let's just say were not one of the premier teams in the NFL, playing in perhaps the worst weather in the NFL, certainly at that time.
No question.
And you get the news that here you are, you're playing for a Super Bowl contending team in sunny and wonderful Los Angeles. Just how ecstatic were you to get that call?
I tell you what, it was a surprise call. And when I heard that I didn't have to go through another Buffalo winter, because it was just before camp that I received that call, Coach K. Stevenson told me, he said, Tony, we had to make a trade with you. You're going to the LA Rams, and in return, we're getting they had a quarterback, Vince Ferragamo, and a second-round pick, and basically we needed that situation to happen. So you'll be going to the Rams, and I thought, no more Buffalo winners. So I spent my first Christmas in probably 75, 80-degree weather that I had ever had, because I grew up in the Midwest. I grew up in Cincinnati, and we always had cold Christmas days, and so I really enjoyed it. It was a nice change of pace, we'll put it that way.
Yeah. My folks still live in New England, and every Christmas I get to torment them with, "Hey, we're going out to the pool today. What are you guys doing?" Shoveling.
Right. That's a strange feeling to wake up on Christmas morning and it's 75, 80 degrees outside. I remember that was really strange.
Yeah, Christmas barbecue.
Right.
Right. Okay, so but you didn't love Los Angeles so much that you didn't move back to Cincinnati. Have you been living there since you retired?
Yeah, I came back to Cincinnati. I had some things going business-wise that brought me back home.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a property management going, and we were managing some apartment buildings, and so I had to be here. So I owned some buildings, and I was managing some other buildings, and so I had to be in Cincinnati. So I went the next 20-some-odd years doing that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, very cool. All right, let's get into the present. Let's talk some Rams football in 2016. We decided on a format for the show before we came on today, and I think the format's going to be a real challenge for this first show. I figured it would probably be a good idea to approach the previous week's game as listing the sort of things that we liked and things that we didn't like. Well, after week one, I'm not sure what we did like, but let's look at what we didn't like. I have to ask you, Tony, right off the bat, are you kind of an optimistic guy or a pessimistic guy?
I'm definitely optimistic.
Okay, great. Because I'm going to need your optimism here. All right, these statistics, these numbers almost sound like a joke in some respects. Okay. Nothing went right for the Rams last night. 28-0 loss to San Francisco, who is entering the season as one of the bottom, I would say, 6 or 7 teams in this league this year. Not a playoff threat. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm listening to you. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is going to be a long one. Let's see. Just, from top to bottom, problems everywhere. Case Keenum, he's 7 for 35 I've got here, fewer than 50% completions, 130 yards, 2 picks, of course, no touchdowns, general bad decision-making. His receivers, here's Devon Austin, just got the big $42 million contract.
Wow.
Yeah, how about it, for 4 years? Did guys in your day make that kind of money, Tony?
Oh, no, I wish. No, that's, offensively, we didn't have any threats. It just seemed like the 49ers keyed on wherever our tailback was going. And wherever he went, that's where the whole defense went. I mean, we didn't have any other threats offensively.
Yeah. A lot of folks today on the internet are calling out Todd Gurley, but I'm wondering how much of this was the play calling. I'm wondering how much of this was the inability for that line to create the gaps. Because, every play he's just off tackle run, and it looked like he was surrendered into that. It looked as though he was resigned to that. We seem to be so predictable. The Rams seem to be so predictable. They were determined to run Gurley regardless of whatever defense they were in. And they were trying to establish the run, which never really happened. And it just seemed like everybody else wasn't involved in the offense. Kenny Britt, the wide receiver, I think he made 1 or 2 decent catches. But
they seem non-existent to me, the receivers, for the most part, throughout that game. But
this is the problem, is that here's our number one receiver, is Devon Austin, but this guy, the majority of his catches are behind the line of scrimmage. I mean, this guy is a gadget player, and they play him like a traditional number one receiver. You know, this is a huge problem here. And I think
and that's he's a breaker. He's a very talented guy, very quick, very elusive, and I can understand the thinking. You'd like to be able to get that ball to him quick, to where he's able to make someone miss, make a play, and get away. But doesn't seem to be working out that way. But I mean, he seems like the type of guy you could teach him how to run patterns, or get him into the offense and get him downfield and let him run some routes and get him the football, and he could be effective that way as well. But
How about it? I would love to see that, because you get the feeling that this guy has a tremendous football IQ. I mean, his plays are the most complicated in the whole playbook, and he runs them marvelously. Couldn't catch worth a damn last night. 12 targets, 4 catches, but how much of this can we put on the quarterback? Quite a bit, I would guess, off the top of my head. The other thing that really bothered me is, here's Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley, I think, is best. They call that the north and south runner. He's best when he's hitting those holes in dead center of the line, and they just weren't there last night. And I felt really bad about that, because San Francisco has hardly got a stacked front seven. The Rams got to play the Jets this year. They have to play the Patriots this year. Teams like this are going to be able to shut down Gurley and bust the entire offense very easily. Can you score fewer than 0 points?
That looked pretty bad. That looks pretty bad to be shut out on national television opening night. So I'm sure Jeff Fisher and his crew will be thinking of ways to generate some offense. They may even have to unwrap the number one pick in the NFL draft sooner than they thought they would have to.
I mean, when you look at Dak Prescott, you don't even have to look at Carson Wentz, who just exceeded expectations there in Philadelphia. But when you look at a guy like Dak Prescott, who not really flashy but can come in and play quarterback in game one. You look at Simeon in Denver, or even his backup, who was drafted in the first round, Travis Lynch, and the Rams could have stayed put and taken this guy, who would have been more ready in game one than the number one overall pick that we traded 4 or 5 picks to get. This is wow. Not exactly a positive start for the offense this season, but hey, the defense wasn't a lot better, right, Tony? I mean, no interceptions, no sacks, 1 fumble recovery, which amounted to nothing. I mean, absolutely nothing. And this was supposed to be our strong point this year, was the defense, the front seven.
Right. I just think that the offense was so ineffective, which kept the defense on the field so long, and which rendered them ineffective. But I thought the bigger problem we had last night was just getting something established offensively. And I just think we were so focused on running that football that we forgot to get other people involved and forgot to balance our tack a little bit. You need to be able to throw the ball some, even if it's short, intermediate passes, just to kind of keep the offense off balance. I mean, the defense off balance a little bit. But we didn't seem to want to do that. We were so focused on running the football, establishing a run, that we forgot to add the pass and kind of keep them off balance defensively.
To me, but here's what I don't understand, because Minnesota runs an offense where they're feeding the runners the ball 54% of the time last season. Adrian Peterson mostly. They can do it there. And I don't think it's a question of Grueling not being talented. I mean, I think this guy's a generational talent. I think this guy.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
You know, I mean, there's just I can't see one player on this offense besides Grueling who any other team would start at this point. It's that frustrating to me. For the Rams. Kenny Britt was okay. 4 catches, 67 yards, whatever. He did his job. I saw almost nobody else on that offense that did their job.
I agree. I didn't. Offensively, the only weapon I thought they had was Gurley for the most part last year. And I think what makes it so bad, I think the 49ers defense didn't see any other weapons besides Gurley. And at every snap, they lined up and they went wherever he went, which made it a tough night for him. It was definitely tough sledding for Todd Gurley.
Yeah, I couldn't even pass it to him. He only got 1 target, 1 catch all night. It was behind the line, same as always. So yeah, couldn't even get him on a short pass. Okay, not much. I mean, did you see anything positive? Can you take away anything positive from this game?
I'll tell you what. I mean, the thing that really stuck out to me was the quarterback. He couldn't get the ball down the field. And I kept wondering, when are they going to bring, why isn't number 1 playing, the number 1 pick in the draft? He's not hurt, is he? But he wasn't dressed. Mm-hmm. What was the story with the Rams' number 1 pick or number 1 pick?
He wasn't. Nothing. I mean, the story was that in the preseason he completed 42% of passes. That's the story. Right. He's perfectly healthy, And
but he didn't dress. He didn't dress for the game last night.
Yeah. No, the number 3 quarterback on the depth chart yesterday was Johnny Hekker, the punter. He was not on the active roster. He was on the sideline. He was.
Yeah, I saw him on the sideline.
For what it's worth, yeah. But they just sat him down. And it's not even a situation like last year. You may remember Fisher sat Todd Gurley for the first 4 games. Because he was still concerned about that injury that had closed off his college career.
Right.
Oh, fair enough. But Jared Goff is not in.
Right.
He played every single preseason game. He played most of the minutes at quarterback.
Wow, that is strange. That is really strange. But now there's something to be said about not putting him in a situation where he's going to be unsuccessful now. I mean, that could be a disaster. If you put him into a situation where he doesn't have the proper protection, he doesn't have any playmakers out there at receiver making plays for him, and then it could really affect his confidence, and you could destroy him. So I get that. And there's a lot to be said about taking it slow with the quarterback. Taking it easy, letting him learn the system behind the starting quarterback, pretty much the way Aaron Rodgers did and a few other very successful quarterbacks. I mean, if you have that luxury to be able to do that with your number 1 pick at quarterback, then that's wonderful. But the way the Rams looked yesterday offensively, I'm not sure if we have that luxury.
No. And see, here's the thing. I've heard this argument before, and, Aaron Rodgers is a very good case for this. Even Brett Favre way back in the day sat out his first year. He held the clipboard. Tony Romo was another one. Held the clipboard. Right. But on the other hand, think about this. Number 1 overall quarterbacks start the next year. Andrew Luck, Cam Newton, guys like this start. That's it. Carson Wentz, number 2 overall this year, started.
Right.
He started. It's like you don't draft a quarterback in your top 3, 4, 5 unless you have to start him in week 1. And I think the Rams just whiffed. That's it. They just missed on. I mean, even the Rams. We started Sam Bradford immediately after taking him number one. You know, I mean, I think they missed. I think they whiffed on it, and I think this is.
And so, you think they whiffed on Goff? Is that what you said?
Yeah, at least.
Wow.
At least in the short term.
Wow, the top pick in the draft. Oh my God.
Well, it's not like they haven't done. I mean, look, it's not like Jamarcus Russell wasn't a whiff at number one overall in the draft.
Well, this is true. This is true.
It happens.
This is true.
Know, and yeah, it was a case where, okay, it reminds me of, you remember in the NBA, Durant versus Odin, 10 years ago or whatever. This reminded me of that. Wentz versus Goff. And, oops, we picked the wrong guy at number one. The number two pick was better. I can certainly imagine that. And here's another factor to consider. Jeff Fisher and General Manager Les Snead were up for a contract renewal, both of them. This was in the works until about August 9th, and then all of a sudden everything stopped. And it's like you wonder if the reason why they're not playing this guy is because we're going to see that they missed on this pick, and then, bam, they don't get their contract.
Oh, okay.
Honestly, I mean, because this just doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, I'm here in the Midwest, so I didn't see any Rams preseason games. How did Goff look to you? How did he look in preseason?
Oh, well, like I said, he completed about 42% of passes when he was in.
Okay.
Not very impressive, but here's the thing. I mean, you've been there, so you know how preseason is. It's very vanilla. But
it's tough.
Yeah, everything they called him to do was like a 10-yard out. I was like, really? But then again, on the other hand, I'm looking at this game last night, and there's no surprises in this game plan either. So I don't know the consequence of an unoriginal game plan, of just an unimaginative game plan, or Goff's lack of capability to take up the NFL game. I don't know. Although they said this was a position battle, and Case Keenum did look a lot better in the preseason. So
he did look okay. Wow. I tell you what, even though there have been misses at number one in the NFL, for the most part, that number one pick pans out pretty well.
Of course.
I would say.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, a guy like Jamarcus, a guy like Ryan Leaf, this is once every 20 years.
Right. Exactly. There you go.
I wouldn't be surprised if Goff does something. I just don't know if he's a number one. I don't look. Do you think he's going to be Andrew Luck? All things being equal, I mean.
Oh, no. That's another guy I was thinking of. I guess he was number one, number two pick. He was upset that the Packers were thinking about taking him, and he would have to sit behind. I think it was Brett Favre at one time. He said he wanted to come in and play right away. Normally when a guy's had that kind of success in major college football, they're pretty much ready to come into the NFL and at least play. So it's kind of strange what's going on with the Rams and that number one pick. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean this is the second time in 5 years now they drafted a quarterback at number one overall. So I don't know.
Is that right? Oh, okay.
Yeah, Bradford.
That's right.
It wasn't that long ago that we were drafting Bradford at number one after a 2-14 season.
That's right.
It wasn't that far back. We still remember. They weren't in Los Angeles then, but we remember.
That was Jeff Fisher too, right? That was Fisher in St. Louis.
Oh yes. Same guys. Yeah. No, I'm not sure it was Fisher, but I'm pretty sure Les Snead was still the GM. I'm pretty sure he was making that call. To tell you the truth, I've just recently become a convert to the Rams because I moved to Los Angeles, they moved to Los Angeles. Hey, great. I'm down. I'm interested. We knew we were going to get an expansion team here in Los Angeles. But once the reality kind of sank in, it was very disappointing, this game last night. Very disappointing.
Yeah. No, it was wonderful. When we were the Rams were in Anaheim at the time that I played.
Right.
This was 85, 86, 87. And we played in Anaheim. We practiced at Ram Park, which is in Anaheim. I lived in Fullerton, which was maybe 10 minutes away from Ram Park. And, it was a wonderful experience. It was a wonderful experience. Coach Robinson, he was very familiar with Los Angeles, and we had quite a few guys from the Los Angeles area on our team. And it was definitely big-time NFL football. And at that time, we had one of the best teams in the league, I would say.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. Those late 80s Rams teams. Wow. Yeah. You guys are.
Oh, yeah.
You guys were great.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk next week then.
Okay.
Was a game I wasn't already looking forward to. Now I'm not sure. We've got the Seattle Seahawks going to be playing here in Los Angeles, the homecoming game.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. We're excited about that. Here, I hope we're still excited about that. I don't know. Los Angeles people have a lot going on. You know, we've got a couple of baseball teams out here. We've got a couple of basketball teams out here. We've got
the beaches and
So, sorry? Go ahead.
I said the beaches. There's a lot to do in Los Angeles, no doubt, no question.
Oh yeah. It's a similar situation. You know, they talk a lot about. I also follow Canadian ball, and they talk a lot about Toronto. It's a lot like the American version of Toronto in that we have so many sports going on, and it's the city itself is so spread out. You know, you kind of wonder. On the other hand, Los Angeles does have this. We have a lot of transplants. You know, Los Angeles is a city of transplants. And
definitely.
Yeah, I think what you're going to get is you're going to get a lot of tickets sold to, you know, people cheering for other teams, but, you know, want to go see a ball game on a sunny November day, you know. I think that's what you're going to get a lot of here in Los Angeles. I think Los Angeles is a great city for football. A lot of people say, oh, yeah, there's no fans. Everybody's a fan of another team. But I think that's a plus in this case. I thought we were in Orange County now, but at Anaheim Stadium, I thought we had a pretty nice crowd for our games, but we had a good team, and we were very competitive in our division. And whenever we played the 49ers, of course, that was packed. That was sold out. Normally on national television. I think it just depends on the caliber of team that the Rams put out there, whether or not the fans in L.A. will get behind it and support them. But last night was not a very good start. Yeah, definitely not. You know, the funny line that's going around the internet is, you know, the Rams still haven't scored a point since 1994.
Wow.
So in Los Angeles. So yeah, we're still waiting. I don't know how long it's going to take next week against Seattle. The Seattle offense was not so great against the Dolphins last week, winning 12-10. But the defense sure looked good. A bit lazy on a couple of drives, but really clamped down when they needed to in the third quarter and the fourth quarter. The word on Russell Wilson is, you know, he's going to be playing with a twisted ankle. He will play. We expect his mobility to be a lot less, but he's got enough weapons at receiver that he could be the standard stay-in-the-pocket quarterback and probably still have his way with the Rams secondary, I'm afraid.
I saw Seattle play against Dallas during the preseason, and I watched them go after Zeke Elliott, and I tell you, that defense is back. That defense is back, and it's going to be tough to do anything against them, run, pass, or whatever. And the Rams will definitely have their hands full again next week. But I'd like to see them try to get the ball downfield a little more so. And I don't know if they're not really confident in the protection of the quarterback. But I'd like to see them try to mix it up a little bit. In the National Football League, you're not going to be able to just turn around and give it to Gordy every time and be an effective offense. I just think we need to mix it up a little bit and just see what happens.
Well, I just wonder if, there's enough talent here. I mean, look, there's no deep ball threat. They're not willing to let Tavon Austin be that threat, because then if they do that, they have no short-range threat. On top of that, I don't believe that this offensive line, the oldest of which on this line, by the way, is 27 years old, is capable of protecting anyone long enough. And these
right. Now, see, and that's a problem. Now, when I was at the Rams, we had one of the best lines in all of football. It was anchored by Jackie Slater, Dennis Hare. I mean, they opened holes for Eric Dickerson to break some records, and I think, he's in the Hall of Fame right now, and I think Jackie's in the Hall of Fame as well. But we had a really good offensive line. And I'm not sure that's the case right now with the Rams, but it's just the first game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, a lot of potential. I mean, last year they started 3 rookies. All 3 of those guys are back. Talking guys like Rob Havenstein, second-round pick. These guys are all back. It's a very young line. But the reality is we need it now. Now, here's something I've been wanting to ask you, Tony, ever since I turned the TV off, is this. From the outside, the fans say, oh, yeah, well, the team's got to suck it up. They've got to put it behind them. The coaches like to say this in the press conference. But look, I know you guys are just human beings. I know you guys are watching ESPN. I know you guys are hearing the jokes on late-night TV. I mean, how really can the players overcome this? Of just a really, literally demoralizing loss.
Yeah, well, to be honest, they're going to have to. The NFL season's too long. It's too long to really think about that anymore. I think they'll get back and watch film on it today, and that'll be it. That'll be the end of that. And then they have to move on. Like you said, Seattle's coming to town next week. So they can turn it around. So I look to see a totally different team, especially offensively. I didn't think the defense looked as bad as the offense did. They eventually ended up putting up quite a few points, but that was spread out over the game, I thought. But offensively, we never established anything.
Well, in my opinion, the defense lacked a lot of aggression. I mean, this is a team that since Greg Williams came on as defensive coordinator, this team has been in the top 3 most frequent blitzing teams the past 2 years. And I did not see a lot of that. I did not see a lot of that this time. For this team to get 0 sacks is a big deal. I don't think they went the whole second half of last season without a sack in a game.
Wow.
For me, that's a big deal. And the other thing is that, this first loss in the off season of Janoris Jenkins, at the cornerback position was huge. It's massive right now. They can't defend deep. I mean, it really hurts. And Jenkins looked great in New York. So.
Yeah, and that defensive line last year was one of the best in the league, from what I hear, wasn't it?
Oh, the front 7, yeah. That front 7 is still pretty awesome, Brockers and these guys. But, I mean, here you go. Even in this game, the team was penalized 10 times for 125 yards, I think it was. Most of that was on the defense, and the game ends with Aaron Donald being tossed.
Right. That was interesting. I thought that little incident, I thought it showed the fire that Aaron Donaldson has. I've heard some good things. About him as far as the player. But he really exploded. I tell you what, he really exploded. And they need some of that fire on that defense. They need some of that explosion and fire to get them going again.
It would be nice, but what I'm worried about is, he bumps the rep. So this is going to be a suspension, I would guess. I guess he's going to miss the game.
Probably so. That's right. Probably so.
This is team captain stuff. I mean, you're a player. You want this fire, but you can't be like getting suspensions over it.
No. Last thing they need right now is for him to be suspended. So.
Yeah, really. I mean, really, one of the bright spots in this game until that point.
Right.
But he was the face of the Rams' frustration for sure when that happened. Okay, so you're looking for a completely different game plan. You're looking for more confidence to be exuded, hopefully more aggression on the defense. What do you see as the outcome of this game? You're not predicting a Rams win here, are you?
Well, no, I tell you what, they're playing at home.
Yes.
It's first regular season game in Los Angeles in 20-some-odd years.
Right.
I think the Rams will be fired up, and I think they'll make a much better showing. But and I think Jeff Fisher, he's a seasoned, experienced coach. I believe that team has a lot more to offer than they showed in San Francisco for whatever reason. Jeff Fisher, he's been around long enough. He knows talent. I believe he has a talented roster, and I believe it'll be a different team that shows up for this game against Seattle. And I think being at home and it being the opener, I think is going to make the difference. But I'm going to be honest. I'm curious to see where this offense is going to come from because Gurley's not going to be able to do it himself. He's not going to be able to do it all by himself.
Yep. Yeah, as Barry Sanders found out in Detroit.
Oh, man.
This is my main fear about Gurley is that, Dickerson played for the Rams for, I think about 14 years before it was all said and done. But he had that support network. He had that. Right. And Gurley I worry about because, this is a guy who said in college that his first love was basketball. I really worry that, a guy like Gurley is not going to put up with playing for a, 4-12 team or whatnot with no line, with no run blocking. I just can't imagine that football is so much a priority in this guy's life that he's going to risk his future health, to play.
Right.
I don't buy it. I just don't buy it.
Yeah.
It's a shame.
And he had some health problems at Georgia. I think, didn't he? He had some problems health-wise at Georgia. So you wonder how his body's going to hold up to the pounding.
Well, he missed the whole season. That's why he fell so far in the draft. He only, quote-unquote, went at number 10. Could have been a lot further if the Rams hadn't picked him up. The only reason why is because he missed that whole season. He missed that whole last season with the knee injury. But, geez, he certainly looked a lot better in Week 5 last year than he looked in Week 1 this year. That's for sure.
Yeah. So we'll see. You know what? I'm going to stay positive. I think that Fisher will get it turned around, but we will see against Seattle.
Mm-hmm. Well, good on you, Tony. I'm going to have to go the other way, though. I think the best thing we can hope for is that they'll keep the score down this week, but I can't imagine a win. I personally, I would just like to see the sellout crowd. That's
Right. I think we'll get that.
Yeah,
we'll get that.
Other than that, I'm waiting until I think the Buffalo game. I think it's in week 7.
Wow.
Yeah, we can really count on a win. Maybe it's week 6, but yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, we got the AFC East this year. It's the conference that we're playing. So
AFC East, okay.
Yeah, so that means Patriots and Jets are on the schedule, as well as the Bills and the Dolphins. At least those are winnable games.
They are.
But week 2, I'm pessimistic. All right, what else you got for us, Tony? I'm about to sign off. You got any other words of wisdom for us this week?
No, I tell you, like I said, I'm looking forward to next week. I think the Rams will have a better showing next week at home with that home crowd, with the first game in Los Angeles, first regular season game in Los Angeles over the last, 22 years or so. And I look for a much better showing next week. But we'll see.
Okay, that's Tony Hunter, the glass half full guy. This is the glass half empty guy. I'll sign off here with a reminder. Please don't forget to check out all of our podcasts and writings here at thegruelingtruth.net. Tony, my co-host here, currently co-hosts the Notre Dame weekly podcast here at thegruelingtruth.net. Just started last week on that, Tony, right?
Yeah, we did. It's a lot of fun. I played for Notre Dame and had a wonderful experience up there, and just love Notre Dame football. Always have.
It is one of the great football traditions there at Notre Dame, for absolutely sure. So fans of college football, fans of Notre Dame will definitely want to check out Tony Hunter on the Weekly Notre Dame podcast. Myself, I appear on several podcasts here at the GruelingTruth.net, including CFL Weekly Pick'em Show, which also includes former CFL great and former Los Angeles Ram quarterback Dieter Brock. Do you remember Dieter? Did you play with Dieter?
Yeah. Dieter and I were teammates. We were teammates, I think, for a season or 2.
He only played the 1 year. He played, I think it must have been 85. Yeah.
Well, yeah, my first year with the Rams. Yeah, he had a strong arm, really strong arm, and a great guy.
Yeah, Dieter is fantastic. We enjoy doing the show with him every week. Let's see. I'm also on the Rouge, White, and Blue CFL podcast, all about Canadian football every week. We're at the halfway point here. Things are heating up over there as the weather gets cold. Finally, I'm also in the Truth About Fantasy Football weekly podcast here at thegruelingtruth.net. And enough with the shameless plugs. For Tony Hunter, I'm Os Davis, and you've been listening to the Grueling Truth Rams weekly show as presented by Gridiron Mo. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next week.
I'm not going 7-9. Okay?